Thank you so much for the invitation to be in this panel with all of you. Um, I think my points of view are very general in the sense that I have a big opposition to the notion of feminist foreign policy, especially in the global north countries. I think that we can benefit from a position of feminist foreign policy in the global south, especially the situation and the imbalance of power that there is globally. But overall, I think it is very hypocritical of global north countries to state that they have a foreign policy when they haven't challenged any of the agendas that they impose on the rest of the global south. And furthermore, they are now co-opting, as they always do. They're co-opting our terms, they're co-opting our agenda for a liberal, white liberal vision at the best, or a criminal conservative policy at worst. And so the cooptation of a feminist notion is very concerning to me and many of us. And also, it is also concerning to us, not only the cooptation by states, but also the complicity of some of our colleagues in the global north who are accompanying those global north states with a white liberal lens of what should be feminism. And so therefore they're not literally tackling the harm that these governments are doing in the global south. So I think there is this counterposition, right, of what does, as a whole, we can also wonder if a state can be feminist. But from my point of view, I'm a feminist from Latin America. We do ascribe to the tradition of a feminism of rupture, meaning that we don't think that women should be included in the current economic system as it is. We think that this system is predatory, exclusionary. It generates more inequalities across the world. So the feminism of inclusion, it's something that we do not accompany. And so therefore, I think the question of which type of feminism can accommodate foreign feminist policies, also something that we can ask ourselves, because there are some self-acclaimed feminism that are precisely as what we have been starting to hear already in this webinar, right? That to say that women should be included in decision-making positions, that women should be included in the current system as it is, in the employment patterns, women should be included in the army, women should be included in the harmful structures, that in mining structures, etc. And so this notion of inclusion of women as if it were feminist, it's extremely problematic to our sense. Of course, we do believe that women should be decision makers because it is our right, because we are citizens, because we are 50% of the population. So there are some demands that are very basic, and I think we all accompany them in principle. But why are we in need to call them feminist, especially in alignment with the state? I think that's a major question. And on the other hand, also, I have a very critical position on our colleagues, as I said, who accompany this agenda within their global north countries, because they say that they are using these to hold their governments accountable. But this is something that they should be doing in the first place anyway. They don't need to use our name and our term of feminist so that they hold their countries accountable. We do that anyway in the South, and we are not branding our states as feminists just because we try to hold them accountable. That should happen immediately, and that is something that we are still waiting for our colleagues in the global north to do, precisely because with all of the harm that the global north countries are doing in our territories, it is quite clear that they're not holding accountable. Especially, I think there is also this difference about what are the agendas that they are being allowed to address when they're talking about feminist foreign policy. And even if global north countries talk about peace and security, again, that involves women in consultations and stuff, and not the bigger picture that we're seeing, for instance, of enabling a genocide in Gaza, enabling the invasion of Lebanon and Syria, the allowing the Sudanese genocide to go on. So these are really elements that put at stake the lives of Black and Brown people. And so this conversation, I think it is a very critical one, just because we say from some positions in the Global South, not in our name, stop doing that. And on the other hand, as I said, I do say that Global South countries do benefit from having a feminist foreign policy, just because they are in such a weak imbalance of power that it allows some countries that are trying to do some transformation in the global arena, that it will allow them to sit in a different table, that will allow them to push for some of the agendas that are at the bare minimum of what the Global South needs, and that we as feminists from the Global South have been pushing for all of this time. But it's also, I just want to be very clear that we as feminists, civil society, as social movements, we don't give them the name of feminists to our states. They themselves are allocated that brand, and if they decide to pursue that, we are happy to sit down with them and draft what would be the main priorities. But it is not up to us to call another one feminist, because that is also extremely problematic. We do not legitimize how feminist is a state. I think that is also something that has to come very strongly. And I'm still to hear feminists from Mexico who say that our state is feminist. I don't think that is something that I've heard, but I have heard with in people in the global north saying with a lot of pride that their governments have a feminist foreign policy. And I think that is precisely the misleading path in which we fall into then confusing an agenda with the different roles and actors, and also we end up legitimizing harmful deeds. So in the case of Mexico, they have been indeed, I've seen it with my own hands, with my own eyes, they have been indeed going out until the final moments in several negotiations, because they have
Emilia, you have 1 minute, huh? 1 minute.
They have a commitment with the feminist foreign policy. What is it that they can do in the context of the global realities in which the language is being negotiated to the minimum, and we are seeing a strong backlash? And so when our countries are saying they're defending a feminist agenda, what they're really defending is the basic language, and they're saying that until the final moments, because many countries are actually attacking our agenda. So we do need, of course, a strong alliance of countries globally in negotiation to push for whatever it is that we have gained and whatever advancements that we can make in the global arena. But it is, we cannot just set, because of the context, call our countries feminist. I think this is something that also we need to be mindful. So in the global arena, the way that we are seeing the challenges, many countries can allocate themselves a name of feminist. I can say that Mexico has been pushing for many radical agendas, including abortion in the Beijing Plus 25 framework of UN Women. We will see how this will happen in the next Beijing Plus 30. But overall, it is our duty as feminists from the Global South and civil society to keep on pushing our governments, regardless if they're naming themselves feminists. I'll stop here. Thank you so much.